All right. 3, 2.
Fuck.
Welcome back to episode 7 of the True Love Tattoo podcast. I'd just like to thank our sponsors, Killer Merch. And last week I got a little bit weird, but I'll be honest with you, I'm running out of ways to tell you how good Killer Merch is. And by now you should just realize they're the fucking dudes. Whatever you want. They also do embroidery as well. Little known fact. So if you want hats, beanies, shirts, anything embroidered by them, they do that too. It's killermerch_printing or killermerch.com.au for all your merchandise needs. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Hal Hunter of Vintique Tattoo. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. I sort of was really keen to get you on. Through Instagram, you're quite open with your followers. You do a lot of those sort of ask me anythings, and you always seem to give a lot of yourself to the people that follow you, which made me think you're going to be a pretty good candidate to get on this podcast and just talk a bunch of smack with.
Yeah. Well, we're Instagram friends, you and I. This is our first meeting.
Yes.
Which is exciting. I don't have many friends, so yeah, it's always good to add like another one in there.
Another notch in the belt.
But I do, you said it before when I arrived, like I do actually feel like we've met before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we started tattooing around the same time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like 5 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're the same age as well.
Yeah, and pretty both like good looking as well. So
I feel like it's one-sided on that.
Yeah, you're probably lacking a bit
way
there.
better looking. So I want to talk to you. You've had like a pretty interesting life even prior to tattooing. So what did you do before you tattooed?
So obviously went to school and stuff like that. And then, when I was 18, I was lucky enough to get drafted to play AFL for Essendon Football Club, which is crazy. Yeah, if you're from Melbourne, that's one of the big four.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess like it's like a whole nother part of my life that for ages afterwards I tried to like keep secret, which at the time I thought was like a good thing. In hindsight, I'm like, I don't know about it, but sort of got me to where I am now. So
what do you mean tried to keep it secret?
Oh, just like Melbourne's like a massive footy city.
Yeah.
And people can be really like intense about footy.
True.
Which is great. That's part of that's like that's why it's got a big supporter base and stuff. But I found like once people found out that you played footy or you were playing footy or whatever, that's like just all they want to talk about. And
True.
When it's your job, 7 days a week pretty much, and then afterwards when I wasn't playing, it was just like the last thing I wanted to talk about. But so when I was 18, got drafted, was at Essendon for 2 years, and then didn't get another contract, and then subsequently retired from there. And that's pretty much when the tattooing stuff sort of kicked off. Yeah.
So how did you go about getting an apprenticeship? Did you were you already going to a shop and spending a lot of time there, or did you just sort of walk in off the street?
It was like a bit of a drawn out process, which I'm sure most apprenticeships are, like when you're trying to get one. There's no like clear sort of pathway to getting one. It's not like doing a trade or anything.
Yep.
I'm sure like people listening to this podcast probably know about tattoos, but so I did like fine art in high school, year 11 and 12, and it was all pretty much like just about tattoos and traditional tattoos. That was like what I was into. Couldn't really explain why, but sort of loved them and like appreciate other styles of tattooing and stuff like that. But traditional was what sort of was my first love.
Yeah.
But then the footy thing happened, which was my main goal from probably when I was 12. Was like just wanted to play AFL footy, and then the art side was sort of the not known side. People used to always say to me like, "Oh, I didn't know you were into art or whatever." Like it's not typical sort of like footy boy stuff.
True.
But sort of put the painting and the tattoo stuff on the back burner while I was doing the footy stuff. I was still getting tattooed reasonably regularly, like a few times a year when I was playing. But yeah, like, you know, spending a lot of time in swimming pools, obviously a contact sport, training every day. It was like having fresh tattoos was not something.
It's not ideal.
Nah. But yeah, so yeah, I'd had started getting tattooed when I was 16 and then sort of like slowly kept going when I was playing footy.
When you were 16, what did you get tattooed on you when you were 16?
Oh, mate, it's not a good tattoo, unsurprisingly. Yeah, one of my friends from school, his brother owned a tattoo studio or worked at a tattoo studio or something in Altona.
Yep.
And he had one tattoo and he was like a year younger than me. And I was like, that is fucking sick. I really want one. And I'd always been like, just like, oh, I really want to get tattoos. I was like watching Miami Ink when it was on TV and I'm like, mate, I'm going to get one. And then, so yeah, he organized it with his brother and it was like at the start of like Instagram. So I went on like Danny Young's Instagram, who was working at Tattoo Magic at the time.
Yep.
And there's a bit of a backstory here, but I tried to get a booking with Danny Young to draw up like this chest piece I wanted, which was classic rose with a banner with my last name across the middle.
Sick.
Yeah, definitely sick. Sort of glad I didn't get it now. But so he drew it. I feel bad, but he drew it up and like I did a full consult and everything. Like he put a lot of like effort into it. And then they were like, oh, cool, you can book it in now. And then they realized I wasn't 18 and he was like, oh, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Danny, for that. And then, from there, I then got the one from, my friend's brother. I didn't actually get the brother to do it. It was just another guy in the shop.
Yeah.
And, I just gave him this Danny Young anchor design.
Yeah.
And, he blasted it on my ribs over 3 sessions. And it's like there's zero black in it, the thinnest outline you've ever seen, not done well.
How big is it if
it's pretty
took
big.
3 sessions, like your whole ribs?
Yeah.
For your first tattoo?
Well, it's like this big, and I'm showing this in the YouTube picture. So it'd be maybe like just smaller than an A4 piece of paper.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's actually the tattoo that people comment on the most when they see it, and they go, "Oh, I love that one."
No.
Because it's like entirely saturated, bright color.
Yeah.
No black, and stands out compared to like what's around it.
Right.
And
so it's like done well?
No.
No.
Fuck, not well.
And people still froth it?
Yeah, like not people who are like know about tattoos, but I guess people just comment on it because it's like the one that stands out.
Right.
As like different.
Yeah.
But so I got that when I was 16. I'd asked mum and dad if I could get it and they said no. And then I did it and then mum cancelled a family holiday to Lorne. So
you did this.
Yep, pretty much. And my brother still hasn't forgiven me. But so then I started getting tattooed. I got tattooed when I was 17 from Jess Swaffer.
Yeah.
And then avoided her for like 5 years afterwards because I was so scared that she'd find out that I was underage and like hate me forever.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
she's incredible. She's retired from tattooing now, which was crazy. Just sort of like she had a kid and just sort of mic drop and just like, I'm gonna be a mum. It's like fucking hats off to her. That's a hard thing to walk away from such an incredible, successful career to just give yourself to your kid. I got both my hands tattooed by her. It was like, if I get my hands done, I'm getting her to do it because she was just like, in my eyes, she's the man.
Yeah, definitely. She did. I regret not getting her to do something traditional.
Oh, really?
She did like script and like a realistic diamond on my foot.
Crazy.
Which is sick. Like you wouldn't look at it and go, oh, that's a Jess Waff tattoo. But I'm glad I got one and I had planned to get more, but obviously never got around to it and now she's not tattooing, which is sad. But so I got that one and then was getting a few more, started getting tattooed by Charlie Gerardin at Third Eye, which is where Jess was working as well at the time. And he was just doing like what I look back now and I look at his paintings and stuff and I was like, it's the sickest traditional, which he doesn't do now. Like people always ask, like, oh, who did your stomach or who did your arms or whatever? I'm like, oh, Charlie did them. And they look at his gram and he's doing like, which is, I think the stuff he's doing now is fucking awesome. Yeah. But it's just so far removed from what.
Completely different. It's sort of illustrative, minimal, black sort of stuff, hey?
Yeah, like stuff I look at and I'm like, I don't even know how he's done that. But like, sort of like etching, I don't even know. But so I got my stomach and stuff done by him and most of my arms and that was when I was playing footy and And then, back to your original question. When I finished playing footy, it was a really weird time. Like I'd sort of achieved on one hand something that I'd set out like for years to achieve, which was to get to an AFL club and I guess have that opportunity to like make an AFL career. But then on the other hand, I hadn't achieved, having the big successful career that I wanted, and I didn't really know what to do. Like that was my entire life goal, was to do that, and it hadn't worked out the way I'd hoped. So
and especially so early too, being like 18 to 20. Or
I was 20.
20, like so early on to be able to achieve something that you wanted to, and then sort of where the fuck do you go from there?
Well, that was it. It was like, it was hard. I didn't know what to do. Like a lot of people were pushing me to drop down to like a lower level VFL or whatever, and have another crack at it, which was a possibility. But yeah, like through the experiences I'd had at the club and like injuries, and I was just mentally, I was like fully done. I was like just so over it. Just couldn't even think about playing. And then physically as well, like even if I wanted to, there was just no chance of me being able to perform the way I wanted to perform, or to perform to a level that would get me to, back up to the level I wanted to play at. So it was a super hard decision to not play anymore. You played every year from when I was 8 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
And so many people had put so much effort into getting me there, that, it was sort of like, I felt like I was letting a lot of people down, but, it was just something like there was just no other option but to walk away from playing.
Yeah.
And at this stage, I'd started getting tattooed at Vintique Tattoos by Bobby, Bobby Skins Tattooing, and that's his Instagram, everyone. And, I was like, I messaged him and I'm like, oh man, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, like, with a job or anything like that. So like, can I just work as the shop assistant?
Yeah.
I love tattoos, obviously. I'd always sort of wanted to tattoo, but I didn't know anything about like how do you get an apprenticeship or whatever. And I was like, I just want to work in a shop. I think that would be a good thing to do, something fun. And he was like, oh, would you not want a tattoo? And I was like, oh, I would, but I'm not asking for an apprenticeship. And he's like, nah, you should tattoo. And like he knew that I was into painting, and I've been getting tattooed a bit by him. And I was like, fuck, all right, well, I guess, I'll have a crack at that. So I say that I've only worked at Vintique Tattoos and I did my full apprenticeship there, but at the time, initially, Bobby got me apprenticeship at another shop.
Okay.
He sort of organised it for me, which was, like he said, like, we can't take you on, but I'll find somewhere for you to go. So I went to Wakefield Tattoos, which was in Hawthorne.
Yeah.
It's not a shop anymore. And I was there for maybe 2 weeks, and it was just like all the people who worked there were lovely people. And I still keep in contact with a few of them, but the shop was just wasn't working. And I realized pretty quickly, like, if I want to get good or I want to learn anything, like, this is just not the place for me.
Just sort of like a dysfunctional environment to try and work in, or?
Yeah, like there was no sort of structure around how it was going, and I didn't know anything about it, and I just said to Bobby, I'm like, I don't think this is like a place where I'm going to get the best out of myself, and that's what I want. Like I'm not here, or I'm not wanting to tattoo to just churn out mediocre tattoos and say that I'm a tattoo artist. Like I actually want to try and be as good as I can.
Yeah.
So I ended up leaving there. And then it was weird. I was pretty much like, one of the things about the first shop was I was pretty much just like let to do anything, but wasn't getting taught anything.
Right. Just no direction.
Yeah. And I was like, I had a few people who were like, oh, you can tattoo me and whatever. So, when I left there, I said to Bobby, I'm like, I've got these people who are going to let me tattoo them. Like, I've got nowhere to do it.
Yeah.
Can I just do it at the shop? Like I won't be like, you know, whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, you can come in and do it or whatever. And I went in the back room and like just, yeah, pretty much just did the most atrocious shit on these people. And well, actually it was only one guy, and he was the guy whose brother had the tattoo shop that I got my first tattoo at.
Oh, man.
And then Bobby's like, all right, we're going to fucking sort this out. So we pretty much like got me on the right track with the painting. Like, yeah, it was mostly all traditional stuff. Like, and then it was Scott Moss was the other guy working at the shop, and Bobby's like, you can work here as long as you get along the line, with, like get across the line with Scott.
Yep.
And then that's pretty much how it started. And then I was doing 3 days a week as the apprentice there, doing like just normal apprentice stuff, you know, like everyone was using disposable, so I've never had to deal with like scrubbing tubes or anything, but
Yeah.
like just normal apprentice stuff, 3 days a week. And then I was coaching football at my brother's school to make like, you know, a little bit of money and stuff.
Yeah.
That was like, I was like 2 evenings and a Saturday. And then, like that's pretty much how I got into tattooing, and
Crazy.
yeah, went from there.
So I think a lot of people will also know you through Hunter Brothers Cycling.
Yeah.
Your family business as well. So you're still very much a part of that as well as tattooing. Like 4 days a week, or is it 4 days a week?
Yeah, so I'm tattooing 4 days a week and then working for Hunter Bros 2 days a week, and then I try and have 1 day to do nothing. But I guess like you're running sort of two businesses through social media in a way, like the tattooing and Hunter Brothers is largely sort of run through social media as well. It's like, I don't think there's really any days that you're not doing something.
Yeah.
But that was like also, in 2014 when I started I just finished footy, I was starting the tattooing. That's when Dad and I decided to start Hunter Bros Cycling as well. So I was also doing that. Which like, it was a lot going on, and it's all sort of seemed to work out.
I feel like a lot of people have ambitions in one field. They tend to narrow in on one thing, and they have these goals, and then they achieve that, and then they set themselves more. So kind of like consecutive ambitions. Whereas I look at someone like you, and you've got sort of concurrent ambitions in the sense that you've got things that you're trying to achieve through Hunter Bros, stuff that you're trying to achieve through tattooing as well, and it's all simultaneous and all going on at once. Like how do you juggle that?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, it can be like there's a lot going on, and I very rarely get any days where I'm not like doing stuff, as I said before. But I think, it all really just comes down for me. It's like, what are my end goals in life? And I guess, when I thought about them, when I finished footy, I did a lot of sort of thinking, like sitting on like piers on rainy days and shit, just looking out and thinking
staring
like,
off into the distance.
Yeah, what am I doing here? But it was like I want to be able to travel.
Yep.
I want to be able, and pretty much I want to be able to do stuff that I enjoy doing every single day.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I'm pretty open about it. If I had to tattoo 6 days a week, I feel like I get burnt out from doing it, because there's all these other things that I want to do. Like, I want to go see these things around the world, and I want to ride my bike, and I want to go to the beach, go surfing or whatever. I sort of tried to find a way that I could do all the things I wanted to do, but not have to, not do things that I want to do. So,
and on top of that, you're also doing other paintings outside of tattooing as well. So you're working on like a little more like fine art sort of stuff outside of tattooing. So being creative at your job and being artistic, showing up and doing that every day. Then you're going home and you're just doing more for fun. Like, what's it like trying to separate like art at home for fun and art at work, even though work is fun?
Yeah. I guess like for me, there's no separation. I go home, I'm lucky enough that somehow I've managed to make it so with the tattooing I'm busy enough, mostly with stuff that I'm pushing, with traditional, and designs that I'm really keen to tattoo and stuff. But yeah, for me it's like doing the other paintings at home, or doing the stuff around the Hunter Bro cycling brand. It's all one.
So you feel as if like your tattooing helps with running the business of Hunter Bros and vice versa?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like a lot of the designs, we do on the cycling apparel, they are all sort of based, I guess, initially in like traditional tattoo designs. A lot of that comes initially from that's like all I could do.
Yeah.
So, when we're like, all right, let's design some cycling apparel, that was all I could front up to, the rest of the guys to look at and go like, all right, cool, we'll choose that one.
Yeah.
And, only recently have I really been doing more of that sort of fine art stuff, canvases with like mixed media and whatever. I've always wanted to do it, but I've just never known how to sort of make it look how I wanted it to look. And I think I look back now, my year 12 sort of fine art final piece, and it is like I can't even think about. It makes me sick thinking about how bad it was.
What'd you do for it?
Nothing I would ever attempt again. But I did watercolor. I feel bad for how much the paper must have cost.
Yeah.
But it was a 4 meter by 3 meter single bit of watercolor paper, like
What?
300 GSM.
I didn't even think they would make it that
They had
big.
to get it made. This is school, and they made this crazy frame for it. And I did this. I think it was like a skull with a snake and like sun rays out the back, but the snake had no head. I'm not sure why. So it was just like a body.
Heads are hard, dude.
Yeah. And I reckon I spent it actually for how bad and little I knew about what I was doing, I still got it. It came out passable, but yeah, I just wanted it to look so different to how it looked. And I remember I just go back over bits so many times, and I can't even unfold it to look at it because I'm scared it'll just make me never want to do anything again. But
do you think you'd ever try and make something on that sort of scale again though?
Well, I think that was probably the big mistake I made. I remember there was a few people in our class who were doing just crazy good art, and I just was watching Miami Ink thinking I just want to draw fucking tattoo designs. And I was like, what can I do? An A4 flash sheet is just not going to cut it. So yeah, I just was I'll just go massive, do something huge.
Were you ever influenced by people like Ed Hardy that sort of combined the world of fine art and tattooing?
Well, I think now I could say yes. At the time, I just had no idea.
Right.
I didn't know anything. I just didn't have any knowledge. I remember I was like, all right, I love traditional. I appreciate the other styles, but it's just not, it doesn't sort of get me going.
Yep.
And that was, so I did really well in the practical side at school for art. I failed the theory side because I just couldn't explain why. Why are you drawing it that way, or why all the designs look like that,
Yeah.
Because I just had sort of no knowledge about I guess those traditional, the original traditional guys, Sailor Jerry and Ed Hardy and Bert Grimm and all those guys. I just knew nothing about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't explain it. I was like, I just think it looks good that way. That's why it's drawn that way. Which, I guess that's part of, a big part of how I got to sort of where I am now with the tattooing. And a lot of I'd say, all of the tattoos I do, none of them have sort of any sort of meaning behind them or anything like that. I just think they look good, and then that's it,
Yeah.
All the tattoos I get, it's just, I just pick a design or get someone to draw something based on, stuff I think looks good.
Yeah.
And I'm a very, I've realized it now, but yeah, I'm very just I like it because I think it looks good, and it doesn't matter what the theory or the context or anything behind it is.
Yeah.
For me, that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I went way too big with the painting. And I probably, I don't know, I've been doing some bigger canvases now.
Yeah.
And I like working on a bigger scale, like for pretty much up until the last year, I've only been doing, palm-sized tattoos and stuff like that. So you get really used to, working in that smaller area.
Yep.
And I think, in the last sort of 12 months, I've sort of felt this confidence to really sort of like just do some different art stuff. And yeah, it's been getting like a really good response, but I'm not doing it I would like to sell them. If people want to buy them, they can have them. But yeah, I'm just sort of piling them up at home. And, but it's that sort of like, I'm still doing art, sort of tattoo related stuff in a way.
Yep.
But it's a completely different sort of, release. But again, it ties into the cycling apparel stuff. We're thinking of maybe pushing some more abstract designs with the kits. And that's all, it all sort of stems from, I guess, the art stuff.
Did you ever feel like between the cycling and the tattooing that you kind of had to do one or the other? At any point, did you feel like, fuck, I'm going to have to give up one of these?
I probably never got to that point, but I definitely do think a lot. It's like, like I always question, how much better could either one be if I just went, put all my effort into that one. And at the end of the day, I always come back to saying, like, I don't think, I could definitely tattoo without the cycling stuff, but I think a lot of the people I tattoo come through cycling, or they've found me through the cycling, and sort of vice versa. A lot of people sort of who buy kits go, I didn't even know, about you guys until I was following Hal with the tattooing or whatever. So I think, they both sort of work within each other, and I don't think either one would be, as strong if the other one wasn't there. And I also think like, I really enjoy doing both of them. And as I said earlier, if I was doing only one of them, 5 or 6 days a week, I feel like I'd still be searching for, I'd still be trying to do the other one. So I don't think it would work if I just picked one.
What do you think you'd say to people that, there's all these things that they want to do and they're like, oh, I just don't have the time. I feel like saying that they don't have the time is the most common excuse that people give.
Yeah, definitely.
You've obviously found time.
Yeah, I think, everyone's different in their sort of circumstances and, their life situation. But I definitely think I'm one of those people that I honestly, unless I really, really had to, it was like, this is the only option. I couldn't do something if I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I realized that all through school, like the subjects I had no interest in, I just couldn't do them. And I guess, you could say that's laziness or whatever, but at that time, all I wanted to do was to play footy, and that's where all of my energy went.
Yeah.
And I think it is easy to say like, oh, if you want to do something, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't have that attitude, then you'll always find a reason not to do it.
Did footy get to that point where it just wasn't enjoyable? So you're like, it's not worth my time because I'm not enjoying it as much?
Well, footy ended oddly for me, but I guess like I was forced out. Like obviously didn't get another contract, so that's not something I could really be like, oh, if I just put in a bit more effort here, they'll give me another one. I was one of those players. I didn't have a huge amount of like natural talent, and I credit a lot of, I guess, if you can say like success as like getting as far as I did, I credit that mostly to like effort and hard work. And, it probably wasn't healthy. I ended up doing like, it got so out of control. The stuff I was like, like it was ruining relationships. It was fully consuming my life. So I guess now, people, ask often like, oh, how do you find the time, or how do you find the energy, or whatever? And it's like, well, what I'm doing now is a step down from the intensity of what I was doing.
True.
And yeah, I don't know. I've always like, if I'm not doing what I want to do, I feel like I'm just wasting my time. And so I guess like you've maybe seen it, I do those Ask Me Anything I've only done 3 of them, but
Yeah.
I feel like I can't do more because all the answers are just the same.
Yeah.
The questions are the same. But people ask like, oh, what if I want to, be a tattoo apprentice, or what if I want to do this? And I'm like, well, if you really want to do it, just do it, because no one will do it for you.
Yeah, you'll find out a way. If you want it bad enough, you're always going to find out a way to make it happen.
Exactly. And I I understand it's easy to say that once you've, done it, or you've, if you want to get a tattoo apprenticeship, it's easy for me to say, oh, we'll just fucking go and, do it. But, I did one of those Ask Me Anythings, and one of my friends messaged me the next day going, oh, I screenshot, you said just quit your job and fucking go and do it. And he's like, I just quit my job. And I was like, oh my God, man.
This is on you. You did this.
Yeah. But I guess the reality is if you're unhappy in my opinion, if you're unhappy doing, what you're doing for work or anything else, and you want to do something else and you know what it is, if you've got the opportunity or the ability to, stop what you're doing and go and do it, and maybe of course you got to make sacrifices. Maybe you don't make, any money for a little while, or, you might have to move and pay less rent somewhere else, or, you can't get fucking takeaway dinners or whatever. Like, they're the things you sacrifice initially to be able to do what you want to do for the rest of your life.
I feel like a lot of people see people in jobs that they really admire and all that sort of stuff, and they're like, oh man, I can never do that or whatever. It's like, well, you can, because that person's doing it. Or like people that have a specific skill set or whatever, and there's like, oh, there's no jobs for me in that thing. It's like, then make a fucking job. Like no job existed until someone went out and created that job.
Yeah.
So like if you can't find a role for you to slide into with your particular skill set, start one.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think again, it's like, if you want to be a super famous singer, maybe that's another story, because, that probably comes down to like whether you can sing and then like all this other shit. But you can still have a crack at it.
Totally. I think there's definitely luck in things like that. Obviously, people that become super famous singers, it's like a lot of the time it's like right place, right time, or it's who you know, not what you know, and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, there are other people that just grind like motherfuckers until they get to where they want to be. Whether it's musicians or whatever, like I can't remember who it was, but someone they just pretty much quit their job and they just did open mic nights.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like pretty much like every single open mic night in the city, they were there playing in it. Until, like there was the right person there that picked them up or whatever.
And that's it. It's like, you can only do everything you can do. And if that's just putting yourself in the right position, every night or every week or whatever, at open mic nights, that's all you can do. And, I just think it's one of those things. It's, I didn't know really anyone in the tattoo industry other than the people I was getting tattooed by. I was really lucky that everyone I talked to was like really supportive and sort of push me in the right direction. But if you never sort of try and you don't, commit to it, then it doesn't matter sort of like how much you want to do it. If you're not doing it, well, that's sort of on you.
Yeah, totally. And then another interesting thing that you got going on at the moment is that you've just started apprenticing your wife, Bella.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so I guess like it sort of stems from, all the stuff we've been talking about. So, Bella and I started going out when we were 13.
Whoa.
So we met at school, and Bella was actually the person who told me I should do art at school, fine art. So I was a bit of that like sort of footy boy, but I did, I was into it. And she said, oh, you should do fine art. the subject. So yeah, I sort of credit her a little bit and pushing me to get to where I'm at now with the tattooing and stuff. But I was working in New York tattooing earlier this year. And Bella, much the same as me, she's always sort of expressed an interest in tattooing. You know, she's been getting tattooed for a while, and but it was just one of those things where, sorry, just coughing, but it was just like, she has a good job that she enjoys, and her friends own the business, so there's no real sort of motivation to be like, I don't want to fucking do this, I want to do something else.
Yeah.
We were in New York in April, and I was like, oh, do you want to tattoo me? And this just at our Airbnb. And she was like, oh, yeah, all right. She's tattooed me once before our wedding anniversary, and it's healed actually quite good. She just wrote the date, which I actually got another wedding anniversary date tattooed on me a few weeks after from Bobby.
Yeah.
And I told him the wrong date. And then I was like, oh, just before we do it, I'll check quickly on my leg the one Bella did. And I was like, oh, yeah, we actually got it wrong. So,
fuck.
That saved me there, that tattoo Bella did. But, it was actually a funny tattoo. She just sort of wrote it on with the permanent marker and then just tattooed it at the same speed. And it fucking killed.
Jesus.
Yeah. And, so we're in New York, and I was like, oh, do you want to tattoo me? Like, and she was like, yeah, sure. So I drew like this like skull with an NYC, and I sort of helped her through it. And it was actually like I put the whole thing on my Instagram story, and it was actually like, honestly, the way it's healed and stuff like that, it's probably better than the first like 50 tattoos I ever did.
Totally.
And that's like, I guess you can put some of that down to like, I sort of told her every single line. I'm like, all right, do this, do this with your machine. Hold it this way and, shade like this or whatever. But, then the next day I got tattooed from Chris McCoy at Rose Tattoo.
Yep.
And he was like, oh, who did this one? And I was like, oh, Bella did that. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's fucking sick. And then he's like, oh, who's Bella? And I'm like, oh, this is Bella right here. And he's like, oh, what? And it was a little bit awkward. And then I was guesting at Greenpoint Tattoo, and Bella was just hanging around like a few of the days, and I was like, oh, I ended up getting tattooed by Ryan Metz and Jason Ochoa, and I was like saying, oh, like, yeah, Bella tattooed me, and they were like, oh man, she should tattoo or whatever, and I was like, yeah, maybe she should. And then I went home and I was like, Bella, like, if you want to do it, you should fucking do it. And we were 25 at the time. I'm 26 now. But I'm like, Bobby's mentioned it to me in the past. The guys at the shop, they would all love to have you there. So if you want to do it, you got to commit to it, and we'll do it properly.
You never had sort of like apprehensions of apprenticing your wife in case it's like, I've never met Bella, but you know how some people, like, if you give them criticism, they take it personally, and then it's like, fuck, I have to go home and deal with this now. Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, well, that was the probably the main concern from the guys at the shop was like, they all love Bella and they were happy to do it, but like, would there be like, weird sort of dynamics going on, and like, would I be able to do it? But I think, Bella and I have been together so long, and, we've been through like a lot of stuff, with the end of my footy career and all of this. It's like, people always say like, oh yeah, when you get married, it's like, oh, my wife's my best friend or whatever. But like, Bella is actually my best friend. And
especially from getting together when you were 13.
Yeah. So like, it's been a bit of a journey. So, I was like, if you want to travel with me, I plan on traveling, every year for tattooing and for Hunter Brothers. I'm like, if you want to be involved in that and you also want to work for yourself and dictate, I've got a bit of I guess like an abnormal sort of work situation with all the stuff I'm doing. Yeah. I'm like, and she's, started enjoying her job less and stuff like that. I'm like, this is the time to do it. And so she had to think for a little while about it and decided to do it. So yeah, she's been doing that, and it's going well so far. We only had one argument about it where I pretty much said all of these things we've just said about like, if you really want it, you got to fucking do it. And, you know, I can only push you so much. And, but I think, you know, the response from all my friends in the community and then the tattoo industry and then like everyone else has just gone, it's been awesome. And, it's, I guess it's just another sort of thing that we're doing, and she's loving it, and she's definitely, you know, having now committed to it after New York, she's definitely decided that it's like it's the right thing for her to be doing. And you know, because there's always that risk, I guess, that they start coming into the shop heaps and then they eventually go like, I actually don't want to do this, you know. But it's been the complete opposite. You know, she's like, I want to be there more. You know, I came home the other night and she was like reading all this stuff about like Ed Hardy and Burt Grimm, and
she's in that sort of like phase of your apprenticeship where you're just discovering like this like wealth of information about all these guys that have done it like years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, one of my favorite things about tattooing as a job in the industry is that it does give you the ability to sort of dictate where you want your life to go and what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, maybe probably one of the things that stuck in my mind was, now I've only met Ryan Metz one time when I got tattooed by him at Greenpoint, but he said like, you know, tattooing's sort of changing a little bit now that it's like, you know, so many artists are doing other things as well, whether it's like they're doing painting or they're doing all this other shit. And, you know, for them, tattooing is just one part of their sort of overall thing. And I like that, you know, once you have obviously the technical skills to do tattoos and stuff like that, it's like you really can then go, all right, like where do I want to take this? And, you know, if that's you working in a tattoo shop doing, you know, either bookings or walk-ins, you know, 5 days a week, and that's what you want to do, then that's fucking sick. But,
yeah,
you know, for some other people, it might be like, it's just one aspect of their sort of art portfolio. And, I love that it gives you sort of options to do that.
What things do you want to achieve?
Well, I guess like what, in tattooing or just everything?
Everything.
Well, I don't know. That's a hard one. Like I look at it and just go like, there's so many options, and, you know, there's stuff I would love to be able to achieve that I'm never going to be able to do because I just don't have the talent or like the ability. But
have you learned nothing from what we've just talked about?
Oh, I know. Fuck. All right. Well, just quit tattooing and get another job. I don't know. Like, yeah, I obviously just, you know, want to be enjoying the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't have any grand plans to be like, oh, this is going to be a game changer or anything like that. But I'm really enjoying at the moment the way, I guess, like my social media is working with the tattooing and with the cycling, and then with Bella learning to tattoo as well. So
I guess that's an ambition in itself, apprenticing Bella and sort of shaping her and turning her into an incredible tattooer as well. I feel like that is a goal in itself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I started at Vintique in 2014, and I would, you know, never consider apprenticing, you know, anyone else at this stage or previously. Like, I just think like, you know, I don't think that I have, you know, that much to pass on to someone. But, you know, Bella said she wanted to do it. I would love for her to fucking tattoo. I mean, I love tattoos. So
yeah,
if that's like another thing we can do together or whatever, I'd be stoked on that. So yeah, it's sort of, if she could, you know, I think, you know, with her and the way it's sort of, I guess, like, you know, social media and, you know, tattooing in general, you know, it's become this sort of like, you know, artists are now global, you know, with the travel and guesting and all that stuff. You know, I've got no doubt that if she gets the knowledge that, you know, Bobby and Scott passed on to me, because they're like, you know, she's the shop apprentice. So, you know, Bobby, Scott, Rudy, and Dave are all sort of putting stuff into her.
Yeah.
And I think honestly that's the best way she's going to get the most out of it, because, you know, her and I have obviously other relationships and like stuff going on there. So I feel like maybe just the way I tell her to do something or whatever might not be the best way for her to learn.
Yeah, and by getting that information and knowledge from other people in the shop, it's not sort of biased in a way. You know,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
very much like, you know, she's the apprentice. She's not their wife, you know, like that she's going to get sort of that information that she needs, and she's probably not going to like question it as much.
Yeah. I think like the thing she said the other day was like, she takes the stuff I say like personally.
Yeah. It'd be hard not to.
Oh, of course. And, you know, that was always going to be probably the main issue.
Yeah.
Was like, you know, like, well, firstly, there's certain things like tattooing technically I actually can't do.
Yeah.
So, you know, the other guys can do them. So they're obviously going to teach her that.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I say like, oh, you know, this needs to be done differently or better or whatever, you know, I think it is hard having like, you know, known each other for so long for her not to take it personally.
Yeah.
Same as if, you know, she was to say something to me.
Yeah.
But for the other guys, like they're all, you know, really good friends with her. But here is obviously that separation.
I feel like it could go one or two ways, like apprenticing someone you're in a relationship with. It could either be that you're easier on them than if it was just a random apprentice off the street, or kind of like a little bit harder on them. You know, you feel, you know, sort of how far you can sort of like push them a little bit, you know?
Yeah. I'm definitely like, everyone said, I'm probably like a bit harder in the like critical aspect of like the painting she's putting out and, you know, the tattoos she does on me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess like the other stuff around the shop, it's like, you know, if it was someone who had come in and, you know, sort of forced their way into an apprenticeship and we didn't know them,
Yeah.
you know, like we probably wouldn't be as good of friends. So there's obviously automatically like, you know, sort of less friendship there and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting and it seems to be going well at the moment, and everyone from the shop seems to be like, you know, really supportive of it, and yeah, it's just another sort of thing we're doing.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for coming and doing the podcast.
That's all right.
You've got so much going on. So the fact that you came in, fucking talked about footy, talked about cycling, talked about painting, talked about apprenticing Bella, tattooing, traveling. Fuck, I think we covered a lot. And yeah, I just really appreciate it, man. So
no, man, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I've got like, I can talk about like stuff for a long time, but and yeah, I've got a lot to say, but yeah, like you've been a supporter of mine online for well, pretty much since I started, and
yeah,
it's been cool to see you move down here, and then, you know, working at a really good shop in Mansruin, and yeah, I guess it's just exciting to see how everything's going, and I'm enjoying the podcast, and
thank you.
Hopefully I don't sound like a dickhead.
Well, I hope that every week, and I sound like a dickhead every week. So I don't know. I think you're coming off good. You're coming off strong.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll probably listen back to it and go, oh, fuck. At least I didn't cry. So
yeah, this time. You can cry when you listen to it.
I'll cry when I get home and go, fuck.
Rad.
I've embarrassed myself again.
Go get tattooed by Hal Hunter at Vintique Tattoo in Mordialloc. You won't regret it. Get tattooed by Bella. Get tattooed by Sleepy Dave. Get tattooed by Scott Moss. Get tattooed by Bobby Skins. They're all fucking legends.
And Rudy Tattoo as well.
And Rudy Tattoo. Hal, it's been a pleasure. Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. I appreciate it.